You are still good to go. All right, we're recording. So maybe we'll talk about Bitcoin a little bit later.
Sounds good.
Just saying there's strategy to be had, you know. I mean,
Right.
I don't know, $900 in like a day. So it's ridiculous, stupid money now, which I'm fine with as long as you know it's stupid money, right? We could do
Well,
Bitcoin.
it's up to what, like 12,000 right now?
I bought like $400 at when it was worth 12,000 and
Right.
it's at 15,000.
Okay,
So
that's
I say
pretty.
like, 20%, like it's really quick, the
Right.
percentage in
Right.
appreciation right
Well,
now. And some people are like, it's a bubble, but more people globally are joining in. So there's definitely until that crash happens. And
well,
I
if
think
you
it's going to
think,
crash. I think there's a lot of money to be made just on the short term.
I think that's just that's a possibility. Everything with gold too. You want to buy when it's low and sell when it's high. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I was buying gold before, people used to laugh at me because it was 329.
Oh, you bought a 300. Good for you.
Yes,
Good for
yes.
you.
I was stacking up. I was buying gold and silver,
Right.
and people used to laugh at me and said, "Dave, why are you buying this gold coin?" It's like,
Cool.
what are you gonna do with it? I just love having them in my hand,
Me
you
too.
know.
Me
And
too.
people
I invest in
used
gold. I
to laugh
keep it
at
at
me.
the bank. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, actually, let me show you my paper holder.
All right. Just mind you, this is going to the mastermind group. You don't want to show too much.
So this is my paper holder.
Is that a little gold panda?
No, this is a silver panda. This is a 5 ounce silver.
Oh, that's cute.
So I use this basically kind of like, okay, when I want to do something, let's say when I want to like, okay, get motivated to get going. This is like, yeah, money.
I think we have a lot more in common than we would have than just real estate investing. But I need to get that 5 ounce panda if we can. So
Yeah.
sorry guys, we're just talking about investing in other different assets before we get into real estate. But if you're still around, I think we all should have a discussion on the other asset classes that might be fun or intriguing to get involved with long term or short term. Personally, Bitcoin, a little bit more short term. I'll keep some long for the hold.
Right.
However, gold and silver is a long-term investment, and I invest, in a couple of ounces in each year to keep in the bank. All right, so let's start. So, David, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. This is the first time I've seen your face. I've been interacting with you for like 5 years or 4 years or something like that. So,
Right.
welcome. Thank you.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
this is David Ing. Am I pronouncing that right? David Ing?
Yes.
Okay. And David is one of my moderators in the Sub30k Mastermind group, which grew from 300 people to about 4,000 plus people now. Yes, right? You can feel
Awesome.
the energy when you go in there. I think
Right.
it's very an amazing energy that's there. He's helpful. Everyone knows him. My sister's in the mastermind group, David. And out of the blue, when I was talking to her, you want to know who I like? What's his name? David NG. I like him. I like him. So he got a bit of a fan club, which is why I wanted to promote you. So just for everyone's knowledge, I started this about a few years ago. David was one of the first people to listen to everything I put out there. And he was like, this works. And he went for it. I think he's quite a few houses in. I'll let him talk to what his comfort level is to talk about his real estate investing strategy. And now he just shows up daily to sort of help out and inspire, which I love. Sometimes you just meet people online and they just come from the same place as you do. I don't know, soul level partnership. And I think David is my spirit animal in Pennsylvania. That really just sort of on all different levels exemplifies just what can be done, what you should do, and how we all want others to succeed as well as ourselves. Because for me, I think it makes the world a better place when people have financial security.
Mhm.
Literally, I think a lot of unhappiness comes from lack of money. And if you can get a handle on this, it can really change the dynamic of the entire country, if not world. And I'll be feeling you believe that as well.
Right.
But that I'd like to just I'm going to just ask you a couple of questions. People already know you, but just sort of talk about your investing career and what's been going on. Can we start? Sorry, I was just talking, but we'll give you the chance for the rest of it. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right, David, tell us about your start with investing, please.
Well, I started in 2006. I bought my first property in Pennsylvania. I've been looking into, well, when I was in 2004, I decided, after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. Let me go back a little bit. I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad in 2001. The first book was Prophecy by Robert Kiyosaki. And halfway through the book, and he was talking about Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I said to myself, I have to get that book. So I did. So I got that book. I actually finished Prophecy first before jumping into Rich Dad Poor Dad. When I got into Rich Dad Poor Dad, it totally just basically opened me up, opened up my mind to investing, basically financial IQ. I think that's one of the biggest challenge for a lot of people. And me just reading the book, really expanding myself and my mind, and having the financial IQ, I was able to see things a little bit better. So I decided, okay, in 2004, I'm going to get into real estate investing. I started looking in New Jersey, but of course the prices were too high. I was looking into Camden, Sailorsburg. But still the taxes and everything just don't make sense. So I decided to look at Pennsylvania. Actually, one of my friends was living here. So I decided, actually me and another friend came here to visit her, and the two of them decided to go whitewater rafting. And I'm not a big fan of whitewater rafting. I like calm water. I love lakes or quiet water, but nothing too crazy. So I say, you know what, West Town, show me. How do I get there? So they went whitewater rafting, and I walked through town, and I fell in love with my little town, Easton, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
so,
Easton. Okay.
Yeah. So they came back. So they say, how was your day? And I said, well, I think I like this town. I'm going to invest in this town. I want to buy my first house in this town. Mm-hmm. And the rest is history.
That is so awesome. Easton's a little quiet one that's on the map, right?
It is. Used to be. It's getting kind of pretty crazy now.
Exactly. You always got to look out for that. You know, there's two takes, like in the Mastermind group, when people say, hey, what market are you in? And I love that everybody wants to share and give, but I also think it's okay if you don't want to tell them what market you found. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, I can see both, like, honestly, I see both sides. What do you feel about that?
Well, I grew up in East New York, Brooklyn, which is one of the worst places. Pitkin Avenue, Euclid Avenue. So I used to live there. So basically, and then I moved to Harlem. So I was the only Asian guy in Harlem. And I was active with my church. And I moved to Harlem because the church that I was part of, they were looking for to start a teen ministry. So the encouragement of the elders in Brooklyn tell me that, hey, listen, there is a need in Harlem right now. So do you mind going there? So I said, sure, no problem. So I moved to Harlem. So now we talk a little bit about Eastern Pennsylvania. It's a quiet town back then in 2006. But like what you always say, Lisa, the transition, you always have to spot the little things, the little glimmer, the little specks. Yep.
And they're obvious if you know what you're looking for, I think.
Yeah. So it's like, you know what, this town, you see like a little bash of yuppies. Well, yuppies here and there, a little mom and pop stores, but they're really artsy, like really cool stuff. So I say, you know what, I see potential in this town. I really do see it. So from 2006 until 2017 today, there have been a lot of changes. One of the things that I want to bring up is that they are opening a arts science center in 2019.
Science?
A science. It's the Da Vinci Science Center.
Oh,
Yeah,
love
it's
Da
a
Vinci,
really,
but that
yeah,
sounds amazing.
it is. It's going to be a great thing. We are going to have one of the largest saltwater aquarium in town. So that's going to be really exciting. So there's a lot of things happening, a lot of restaurants.
A lot of money seems to be coming into the town.
Yes, yes. The last 5 years has transformed Easton into the food mecca of the Lehigh Valley.
Okay.
So all the restaurants are here now. So as you can see, a lot of new builds, condominiums, co-ops are happening downtown right now. I'm actually 6 blocks away from the center square. So,
that's really close.
Yeah. So I'm good.
Good. So tell us from your earlier, what kind of investing was that? Was it Sub30k or was it not? And when did you transition to really the lower prices? Or have you always been in the lower price ranges?
Well, after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, Sub30k has always been in my mind because it makes the most sense, money-wise.
Right. Just buy low. I don't get
the one thing that,
flow. Right. It really does.
The one thing that Robert always says is that pen and paper never lies. So basically, before I do anything, I just basically write everything down. Okay, so this is the asking price. And then you base on the rent in that area. Right. Are you making a profit after everything is taken out? Mortgage, insurance, taxes. Is it still make sense? Is it making sense?
That's simple. So it's always made sense. So even your earlier investments,
right?
How much were you sort of purchasing those for, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, actually, my first house, I bought it at the height of the market.
In there, 2006. Yeah,
2006.
In there.
The asking price was $84,500.
Okay.
I got the property at $68,000. That was at the low end. Well, back then in 2006.
Right.
So
a little bit of time to recover.
Right. But after that, I think that the most expensive house till today that I purchased so far was $75,000 for a multifamily. That's it.
Good.
Yeah, the rest of them, they're like 30, 40, 50K tops.
And they're all where you live in Easton?
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect. So you can sort of see them. And it's nice if you can see them. Although I will tell you, I have 2 properties that I get new tenants in. I just have not seen them. I sold my property in Baltimore. I haven't been to that one in like 3 years. So FYI, you can make it work long distance very, very well. But I think it's also just as beautiful if they're right where you live.
Right.
And so tell us about what you did to make this transition.
Well,
you still commute to work from New York now because of this move. Although I have a feeling you have a plan on getting out of that. So can you tell us about like when you made that decision to move and still commute for this? And what the plans are to sort of when you can stop driving to work, or maybe you won't, maybe you like it.
Right. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. When I first found your video, Lisa, I was so excited about it. I'd be like, oh my God, I finally found somebody who shares the same mindset. I'd be like, this is amazing. I thought I was the only one because everyone was like making fun of me. It's like,
yeah, they're like, no, don't go in that neighborhood. No.
$40,000 house, you could do so much work. And I'd be like, yeah, but it makes sense. On paper, it makes so much sense. I can buy a little bit more expensive house, but the ROI is just not there. It doesn't make sense to make $100 ROI.
Right. Not for how much you're putting into it and you're responsible for your maintenance. Right. In this, like you better put $300, $400, $500 in my account each month. Then it's something to work with.
Well, I think that's one of the reason why I gravitate towards your video. Like, this is amazing. She's such the same mindset as me. This is great. This is like, oh my God, she bought this house for $30,000, $40,000, and it's making her money.
Yeah, it still is. Right?
Yep.
And so then what happened? So yeah, so just let's keep going. What did you do then, David?
I said, why do I choose to move to Pennsylvania? This is after I bought my fourth house, and I start feeling the pain of like, okay, like before, I used to commute every weekend. So I'm kind of like a weekend landlord. I would just basically drive straight from work to PA on Friday or Friday night.
How many hours?
Leave Sunday night, head back to Brooklyn, and and basically that used to be my routine for 4 years. I was a weekend landlord.
Okay.
And then as I accumulate my properties or my rentals, it's getting, well, in my town, basically the last few years, there have been a lot of slumlords.
Yeah.
So the city has been basically cracking down when they look into their files. Okay, this guy, okay, he lives in New York, but he has properties here. So that would make everything a lot harder as far as codes, as far as trying to get a clean CO and this and that. That would just
Baltimore does
every
that
little thing. I mean, I would come up here and I would get a letter saying that, oh, well, you have this violation and that violation. I'd be like, really?
You're like, what about that house there? What about that house there? What about that house there? Nothing. They're very specific. Baltimore can be like that too. Very specific about who they are.
Very specific, correct.
Pay us our money and keep going, and we're gonna get you next.
Right. Well, I was working at that time. No, I was working for the company before. Okay, so basically, I was working in New York City, Manhattan, like 2 days a week, and I would be working in the Jersey office 3 days a week. And then the last 2 years before I moved to Pennsylvania, I only had to go to the New York office once a month or twice a month.
The New York office. Okay.
I'm like less and less being in the Manhattan office. So I think that's when I decided, you know what, though? This is not so bad. I mean, I tried a few times by staying a few extra days in PA and try to see, how is the commuting from PA to my office in Jersey. And it wasn't that bad. It was.
What was the time? How long does it take? I just want people to get like a real sense.
Oh my God.
I mean, was it 2 hours?
Every day, average, I drive about 2.5 hours a day.
Okay.
It's 150 miles a day. Yeah.
Not unheard of, especially if you live in DC. For some people, where I came from, that could be just like it is what it is to get an affordable house.
Right.
So not bad, but takes a little bit of a toll.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I got my car and I put 160,000 miles in 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of maintenance. Side note, what do you do what do you listen to in the cars? Do you have like a favorite type of CD? Like what? Do you learn Spanish or something like on an audio CD? What do you do? Because I use my time for podcasts because it's interesting, keeps me going. How about yourself?
Me too. I basically listen to everyone from Lisa Phillips.
No way.
Robert T.
Who else?
I love Tim Ferry.
Oh, he's good.
He's awesome. I love Eric Thomas. Is one of my favorites.
Oh, E.T., the hip hop preacher.
Yep, E.T. T.D. Jake, amazing. Les Brown, and the list just goes on. I mean,
you get hyped every single day, don't you?
Yes, I don't really.
A lot of motivation.
So much. I was in the music business for many years, so kind of like, okay, you know what? I'm done listening to music 24/7. And it's time for me to build myself up. So I said, how am I going to spend time? Because I would say this to myself: if I give my 10 hours a day to make someone else rich, how many hours am I giving myself to make myself rich?
Right.
So every single moment that I have and every free time that I have, I say, listen, I need to basically guarantee myself, because practice don't make perfect. Practice makes permanent.
Yeah. And, it's protection of energy. For me, for you, you're like, I don't want to work for other people. For me, it was just like, I have so much energy. If I could take this 10 hours and focus on my financial security, I mean, I have to get somewhere, right? Like, I didn't know how far, but like, I had a goal, but I was like, even if I just 10 hours a day or 10 hours, whatever, on mine, you just know you're just going to build the foundation. Like, you just have to,
Right. Right.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the type of neighborhoods that you bought in, what your concerns were, if any, buying in the lower price ranges. And even conclude, like, what kind of blowback you did. Because I know everyone in my family was like, and friends were like, do you know what you're doing? I was like, yeah, I checked it. I checked. I got a system. My system works, right? But I got a lot of people online. You've seen it. A lot of classism comes out online about like the whole, I'm like, why are you missing so many houses that are affordable and cheap? And all of a sudden those people, this and that. And I was like, maybe valid, but it really goes to show you can navigate this, right? You can navigate what kind of person, you can navigate which $30,000 property you invest in. So I'm more about like, yeah, I don't think you're necessarily wrong for saying it could be a bad investment, because some are, and I see some in the group and I'm like, oh, baby, could have helped you with that, but I'll hope for the best. But there is a level of navigation for it. So how was it for everyone going against you doing this and you sort of going forward? Was your wife on board? Did she think you were crazy? Because she has to be a part of this, right? Your combined money, you're not spending it on it if she doesn't want you to. So how is she and you bringing her into this? Or was she on the same page the whole time?
Well, basically, when I first started investing, I was single. So I wasn't married then.
It helps you get married, I think. I think having investment properties helps the marriage.
Wow. Investing guide. I'm basically in the sub B minus C plus neighborhood.
Depending on the area. That's how much.
Depending on the area. And I think it also depends on your caliber as an investor, and basically based on your mindset. What do you see? Do you see a gem in that haystack, whatever? I think it's fear. I know that when I first started doing it, it was a lot of fear. Can I do this? Can I do this? Am I going to do this right? Am I going to basically lose my pants over doing this? And then you have friends and families who are saying, Dave, are you sure that you want to do this?
Right?
Are you sure that you want to buy this house?
Right.
Dave, it's a war zone. There was just a shooting there last week.
Uh-oh.
Okay. What's your point? And I'm not trying to say in a bad way, but those naysayers, they were telling me, I want to buy a house, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And guess what? Fast forward 5 years, I have this amount of houses. You're still talking about, you want to buy a house.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to say it in a bad way, I'm just saying that.
I mean, because it's fear, like you said. Everyone who told me that, I didn't take it too personally. They don't want to see me end up, I lost it all. Right? They didn't want to see, they don't want to see you go, I lost all my money, I have to start over.
Right.
Fear can come from love.
Right. But I think it all comes from fear, because one of the biggest lessons that I learned the last few years is that regret. I want to do something that when I'm 80 years old, that I'm not going to regret not doing it. I don't want to be sitting on my porch somewhere in a senior home and say, if only.
Right.
Go downstairs, Leah. Sorry, the 3 years old.
Baby?
Go downstairs. Leah, go downstairs.
Hi, Leah. But
Hi, Lisa.
hi.
Hi, Lisa. Okay, now go. Okay. Bye-bye. It's too much. I think it comes down to his fear. Of course, I mean, I have a lot of fear in the beginning because, again, I don't have a lot of money, you know.
Right. Or whatever you do have, you earned it. It took some time, right?
Well, let me just give you a little breakdown. I actually invested in a building in 1998.
Okay.
But my problem is that I was investing with my emotions.
That
I was
happens.
seeing the money. I was focusing on the money.
Okay.
And rather than buying small, I went ahead and bought a building. I bought an 8 units building.
Sometimes we do leap too high on our first. You know my foreclosure story.
It lasted me for about a year. I'm not ashamed to say that I had to file bankruptcy.
Right.
Yeah,
because been there, David.
I know nothing. I just love the ideas of investing, but not having the knowledge, not having the proper knowledge.
Yeah, proper knowledge, right.
Right. I think that I know what I was doing. Oh, this is great. I can spend XYZ amount of money, and in my head, oh, I can rent this one for this amount, that one for that amount of money, and bam, at the end of the month, I have this amount of money, and I can pay my mortgage. No.
You know what it is? Like, when you were doing it in 98 and even like in 2009 and before, the internet wasn't built out like it is now.
Right.
So now if I want to invest in an 8-unit apartment building, I can sort of search Bigger Pockets, the web, and find someone else who's done it successfully. Right. And ask them, can I work with you? Can you work with me? I'll pay whatever it is. Free, I'll pay it, whatever. But like you can find that person individually and just ask them, tell me your experience. But I don't think it was as built up back then in my day, right? We just sort of had to do it ourselves. And you didn't have those people to learn the proper. And at the end of the day, books are nice, but you got to talk to someone with the experience because they're going to tell you a book can't cover everything because it can't be 4,000 pages long.
Right.
You know, well, so I think that's sort of like what we went into for both of us back in the day, right. That maybe now people just have so much more opportunity to connect with some experienced people.
Right. Well, I think that what happened also in 1998, I wasn't surrounding myself with the right people, which I learned the last few years is just that you have to be, your friends reflects you.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and if you are hanging out with 10 investors who are millionaires, guaranteed in 1 year you will become one yourself.
Yeah, the vibrations, the shared energy, it just everyone gets lifted.
Because back then I was hanging out with friends who basically are more focused about buying the next car, buying the next
TV,
whatnot,
electronics.
Things, electronics. And I think that's it.
Let's talk about mindset. When I asked you to do this, you're like, I'm really into mindset. And we got on it a little bit. You were saying how fear keeps a lot of people back. But I want to talk about that, what you think about mindset and what you need to take it from one level to the next, how you, in your own personal journey, what you've learned. But also just sort of talk about the mindset of people who this might not be for. And I don't say this in a hateful way so much as, I grew up in a working class, lower income neighborhood. I didn't even realize how poor I was, right? Because you just don't, because you only hang out with other people like yourself. I was sort of doing better for that neighborhood, right? I had some friends from my magnet high school come over, and then I realized maybe. But I'm a little bit more comfortable going in neighborhoods that other people overlook. But there's some people, I love Bigger Pockets, but in that forum, who are uncomfortable going in the neighborhoods I go in. And I say to that, maybe you shouldn't invest in an area that you're that uncomfortable with or is that alien to you. Do you know what I mean? So I do, like, practical sense, think that it's not necessarily for everyone. And if you come from those type of areas, it's your unique advantage to navigating this subclass a little bit more thoughtfully and better than someone else who's never entered into it. What do you think about that? And then I'd like to go on about your mindset journey as well.
Well, I believe in, I remember in Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki was talking about how he worked on himself first, developing the financial IQ. So I believe in myself because a lot of things that we learn from our parents, from school, from teachers, from friends are not necessarily bad, but I always look at their lives. Is that where I want to be?
Good way.
If that's not where I want to be, where do I want to be?
Right.
So once I found out where I want to be, I decided to, okay, how do I get there? And I believe that for me personally, I have a lot of things. One of the biggest things is pride, and not willing to learn that I got from my parents. Basically they'll tell me, okay, this is how you should do things. This is how you should be doing things. They are not necessarily bad, but it's just holding me to become the more or the better person. So mindset I learned is that I have to take care of myself first, get my mindset together,
right.
Deal with me first. Once I deal with me and the way how I see me and the way how I love me, and then I'm able to approach everything else with a clear mind.
Tell me about what that work was for yourself, if you can. Like, what did you have to get clear with yourself? What did you work on in yourself in order to go forward and break away from all this?
Well, the first thing is fear. It's fear because it's something that I haven't done before. So coming from an Asian family, failure is not an option.
Right.
So basically growing up, all the typical Asian family, you have to be a doctor. You have to be an architect. You have to be an engineer. You need to have something. They want you to be something that of status. So I had to break away from that mindset.
Ooh, that's a lot of pressure.
I'm not like that. I am not into. I don't like science. I remember not to say this in a bad way or gross way, I actually puked when we had to dissect a frog.
Right.
In biology class. I'd be like, oh my God, I can't do this.
Right.
That's why I know that I'm not cut out to be a doctor. And it's not my passion. I don't enjoy it.
Good for you. I wish I would have had that earlier.
Well, actually, it took me a while. It took me a while because in my 20s, all I want to do is that, again, it's basically because of the people that I hang out with. And they just want to party. They just want to, who has the latest what? You have the latest computer, Mac, or the latest gadget, whatnot. So I had to break away from all that, from the want.
Right. So that's fear. You had to break away from cultural and parental expectations. And you had to break away from peer expectations.
Yes.
A lot. There's a lot of community you had to disagree with or be discordant with for a little bit.
Yes.
To do this.
Yes.
How'd you get to that point? I mean, was it just like, I just have to do better? I can't keep going this route.
Well,
is that the breakaway? Like
it is a break point. It is a break point. I think that one thing that helped me also tremendously is God. I started becoming active in my church, and then just helping people. You know what? One thing that I learned that's kind of interesting: the more that you help people, the more you see yourself, and the more you see yourself, it's like it's really exciting that you're able to make an impact in someone's life.
Yeah, very fulfilling.
I think that's what excites me about wanting to become wealthy, because I really want to give back. I really want to do something or give back to the community, especially to the younger kids, the next generation.
All right. So just a little bit deeper, not just on the investing front, you're really big into breaking the mindset. So, you're working with the teen youth, right? You still do that?
Yes.
Right.
I told them that I just don't have the time. One of the things that I want to do is basically to be wealthy so I can open my own youth center, a 24
Yes.
hours nonprofit center to help the kids in my town.
Have you been able to get through to them? And what do you say? Because you're really big into changing their mindset. Like Rich Dad, Poor Dad changed mine, but I always wanted to have more money than I grew up with,
Right.
right? And I was willing to work for it. I just come from a long line of hard workers. So I didn't necessarily need a shortcut. I'm very okay with a lot of work to get it. Although, I'm changing my mindset about that with trying to go with grace and ease. But when you see these kids who might be at risk, and you really want to see a mindset change in them, have you done anything working with this youth that you have noticed has been effective in getting them to open their eyes and understand that they can be bigger than maybe what their circumstances gave them to, and not fall into hopelessness or it's not for me? Do you have
Yes.
any experience with that you've broken through? Because teenagers, especially males can be the hardest people to break or to break through. So what have you learned from that?
One of the hardest thing about the next generation or the new generation is that I just feel that they felt that no one believed in them, no one trusts them.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see, like, basically, like a few weeks ago, I see one of my neighbor screaming at one of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I just look at her like, okay, why are you screaming at them? Without, basically, my point is that you have to understand them. You have to understand these kids. They are who they are today. It's not because, because they want to be. Just that no one takes the time to really understand them.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming, from a broken home, the environment they're in, the friends that they hang out with. And I remember talking to one kid, that we became friends. This kid here, basically the whole block, even the cops knows about this kid.
Uh-oh.
He
It's
is
serious.
he
Okay.
is a menace to
Serious.
society. And I'm like, maybe he is a menace to society, but has anyone stopped and be his friend rather than talking about him, telling him what he has to do, screaming at him, this is wrong, this is wrong? Why not be his friend and find out why? Or maybe, that's what I want to do. I want to create an environment where they can be in. Just be in the positive environment with the positive people around them. And
And he's your friend now, you say. Is this particular young man, have you seen maybe a difference in that friendship that you've established?
yes. And it's funny that usually when he walk past people, he'll walk past in a huff, But when he sees me, like yesterday when I was parking my car, he say, "Good morning, David. How are you?" You know what? I said, "That's great." He actually stopped and said good morning to me. I mean, it's a slow process to get them to understand. I guess that the love, the friendship, that I make
Right.
the effort to stop every time that I see him. I say, "Hey, how's it going? What's going on? You know? Hey, you know what though? I need my front yard cleaned up. I give you $20 if you come and rake my whole front
Mm-hmm.
yard." He said, "Sure."
Mm-hmm.
See, it's just that little things like that to make them feel that they are being appreciated. Cares
Okay.
about them.
Wow. So that's in your neighborhood. That's not even in the team ministry you're doing in
No.
Harlem. So you're all about empowering the youth. So all your money is not only for financial security for you and your family, but you are gonna get in the youth space. You're gonna try to help them.
Because money will always come to you. I always believe in that. That God said, if you ask and you shall receive.
Hmm.
Seek and you shall find. So I always believe in that. Because I see that the last 3-4 years in my life, the more that I give, the more that I get back.
Right. How much time can you dedicate to, you said you're busy right now, but how much time do you usually try to dedicate to like the teen and youth? And we'll get back to the investing in mindset, but I think it's just important if you're dealing with youth every single day and you're making impact, regardless of investments or not, I just think it's a good thing to tap into your experience and learn what we can do in our own little microcosms. So how much time can you develop to this for sort of this youth interface that you try to do to help them? Your calling, I guess it would say.
Right. Well, right now, I don't have a set specific time, but
Mm-hmm.
usually like when I'm seeing them in the streets or this and that, I'll stop. I say I'll stop. I'll hang out with them or take them out for ice cream or for pizza.
Oh, nice.
Just that little small thing. Say what's going on. What and I try to just have conversation with them. Every time that I go to a convenience store, or I remember about a month ago, well, baby needs milk, so it was at 11:30 at night. So dressed in my PJ, I went to the nearest gas station that has convenience store, and I was getting my meal, and the store was empty, and the guy or the kid behind the register, he's probably like 18, 19, 20 years old, young man. And we just start talking, and he just saying that I hate my job. I hate my job. It's
Oh.
late. So we start talking. So, we actually, we spoke for a good 30 minutes until the next customer came in. So I say, here's my number. Call me up. We'll continue this conversation. So just the little thing, the little impact that you can make
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
someone's life if you take time, even that 5-10 minutes to give back to them.
That's beautiful. That's really good. I have a feeling when you do that, your soul sings. It's like you're doing right, David. That's what you need to do. That's like what you can provide to the world once
Right.
we get the financial settled, so you could
Right.
focus more on your spiritual path and
I
calling.
think that's one of the reasons why I'm gung-ho about getting all this thing going, so I can start the 503,
Yeah,
the nonprofit, and with
I
the
can't
money
wait.
coming in, of course, we even have grants and stuff like that. But I don't want to rely on grants because these kids are not going to wait. Their situation, I want to help them, and that's one reason too. I want to be able to give back to them at least a few hours a day, not, oh, I'll give back to you when I
Right.
can, or I can only make it one day a week because I work 5 days a week. I can
Mhm.
only give 2 hours here, 1 hour here. To
Right.
me, that's not, it is giving, but I want to give my all,
I think most
because,
people do want to give. And every single time I talk to someone, like I coach clients, and what I do now is I always ask them, what are you doing this for? Because it's not about money.
right,
And every single one just want time to give back. I met, this
right,
one woman, she's like, I want to show other people, I want to take time and coach other people about how they can come into their own identity, and the more they come into their strength, they can be better and more fulfilled. You're like, I want to touch the youth. Another woman's like, I like kids in elementary school. And it's just so funny because, at the end of the day, the real estate investing is here, but it's not for that.
right.
It's for to help other people. Even
Yes,
myself, personally, I know this might sound really crazy, but I know that my calling is to help other people learn how to create money. I know that sounds like, I can do it. I don't care what medium. I know how to do it. I know how to teach other people to do it and break it down. But that's my calling, and I personally feel like you want to help the youth. The more I help people do this, the more the place will be
right,
happier. The more that you help the youth, the happier the place will be. The more
right,
that this woman helps people come into their own power. But every single time we do it, it's always for like, most of us, I'd say about 80%, just want to help. So
right,
that's why this is such a big deal. So to get I still want to talk about mindset and go back to real estate investors. You help a lot of people with the Sub30k Mastermind group,
right.
right? What would you like to say to them about mindset that maybe you see or don't see in your pockets here? What would you like to tell them about getting into this game?
Self-development, basically. One of the things that I learned from Eric Thomas, one of his his speech many years ago, that he said that we expect guarantee from others, but we don't make guarantee on ourselves.
Ooh, that's a good one. That is good.
It's like you want something but then you expect that item or whatnot, let's say like a weight loss program, 30 days money back guarantee. Why are you seeking a guarantee from them, but you refuse to seek a guarantee on yourself?
Right. And your guarantee can be as simple as every single thing say it's a learning course. Every single thing I learn in this course, I'm going to implement can be your guarantee. Right. It doesn't mean that you're going to make it to be millionaire in 30 days, but that's a good mindset. Why don't you guarantee that you're going to guarantee that you go through everything and apply everything? Right. I like that.
Right. I think that when I first initially got started into the mindset game, really, I just spent quite a bit of money on going to seminars. I've been to Tony Robbins seminar, Robert Kiyosaki, and multiple little small seminars here and there. And I remember my friends used to say to me, Dave, what are you spending more money? I remember the first time that I went to a Robert Kiyosaki seminar at the Jacob Javits Center, it was $150 for the ticket. And of course, I bought other CDs and his cash flow game.
I'm a fan of Rob. FYI, I got like 10 of his books.
Awesome, me too.
They're amazing. I did not know I was poor. I read that. I was like, I do think like that. When I started thinking, okay, if you want this boat, how do you buy it? And the how started to come up, not it's too expensive. Right. That one story in itself changed everything,
Right. I think that's the problem with, I'm not saying it's a lot of people, they want to learn something, but yet they refuse to, may I say the word, spend the money on a mentor. Right now today.
I'm learning how to do it right. Or just learning something so you're not make the same mistakes we all sort of make, right?
Somebody asked me, Dave, why do you have a mentor? Why are you paying money? I said, because I want to. Because the person that's mentoring me, he has more knowledge than me.
Yeah.
And it's a collective knowledge. All this knowledge, I can go search online, Google, YouTube, Yahoo. I can find all this information, but are they organized?
Right.
It might be like chapter 1, chapter 8, chapter 20,
right.
mumble jumble together.
You don't have time for that. I got to make this money. This is fast track for me. I don't want to wait forever. So that's why I use, because I have mentors and coaches myself. Right. And I'd like to find out who yours is. Maybe I can tap into. But it's just because I can't keep wasting time trying to save. Right. Like I work to provide for the family, but everything left over is to build.
Right. I think that's one of people's fear. Am I going to get the right mentor? Am I going to get this? Am I going to get that? Am I going to get the right information? And I think it all comes down to collectively it's up to you. It's up to you as the investor. What do you get from this mentor? What do you get from that mentor? It's just that I think that too many people are asking for everything in one package.
For everyone to deliver to them. You're like, hey, I don't know if you're going to show up.
Right.
I don't know if you're going to implement. I don't, so you can't always ask for everything to be delivered.
Right. Greenspan said this the best, because Greenspan reads so many books. You think he reads anywhere from 2 to 3 books a week.
Wow, I'd love to see his library.
Yeah, well, he has a massive library. And the one thing that he said that actually stuck with me is that he said that I read a lot of books. I don't need to understand everything. But if I get one thing, just one out of that 500 pages, that is worth the money and my time.
some of those one things can like completely change your life.
Right.
I got a book. Oh, I recently just got a book like that. He was like, blah, 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 blah. This one thing. I was like, all this other stuff, whatever. I already knew it.
Right.
Right? His $5 just turned into like $1,200.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's going to continue to pay for itself. So I am I like to make sure I get my money's worth, but I think you can do that with just a little discernment. What does your gut instinct say about this person or this thing? How much is it? What does it say you're going to get outlined? I think you can help hedge your points, but that one thing can be worth $1,200.
Right.
You know? Or that one video. You're like, oh, that's the key, right?
Right.
So I would like to open it up. We have Susan and Yvette on the phone right now to what questions they might have, if any. I'm going to unmute you guys. That's what I want to ask David. It could be mindset, Sub30k, whatever. This is just a conversation with David. I want people to know who he is. He contributes much. I'm his cheerleader, so please feel free. You're unmuted.
Okay. Hi, David. How are you?
What's up, Susan?
How's it going?
Going.
So what projects are you working on?
Right now, okay, here's my deal. I am refinancing on one property right now. We are scheduled for the closing either this coming Wednesday or this coming Thursday. After that, for another next 3 weeks, I'm going to be working on my credit.
That seems a little unusual to have to work on that after buying houses. Is what part of it do you have to work on? Do you have to work on raising it back up because you have a high debt to income ratio because of the other houses?
Well, as of yesterday morning, I have 23 inquiries. So we dropped my credit score down to the 660 range. My debt to income, debt to ratio is actually pretty good. But what I'm playing right now is that I'm trying to replan, re-strategize my whole plan for 2018 based on the new tax laws and everything, on how I can make money using other people's money.
We like that project there.
I do. You know what? It's so funny that people say, "Oh, but how do I make money from using my own money?" Because right now, let's say that okay, I'm getting my refi check coming in, right? So now, how am I going to make money without buying a house? Easy. I just basically go through all of my credit cards, one by one, lay everything out, and this one I owe XYZ amount of money, and what are the percentage rate?
Right.
And so basically from the top to bottom, I'm just going to stop playing everything down, paying it down to the 30% ratio. And let's say that Home Depot, my average monthly payment is $150 a month. If I pay it down a little bit because now the interest is lower, I'm actually making money from other people's money. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Oh, Susan gets it.
Oh, yeah. I get it. I'm on board with that. Would you ever use any of your properties that have, say, a detached garage, or even an attached garage as storage for your own materials for other properties?
I'm actually using one now for storage.
Because we just picked the appliances we just picked up. I'm not sure if I want to leave them with a tenant's house because they're probably not going to be in the house much longer. So I don't want to give them access to anything to destroy or have potential to.
Right.
And is that just a comfort level that you have? Like, I'm okay putting it at this particular house because there's no tenants there, or there are tenants there?
No, I think it's just storage, So, because the last property that I got, not the last one, but the multifamily that I got, The layout is really interesting because the basement is on the street level. And it's just a long house, so I'm using the whole basement for storage right now. As far as leaving it in a tenant's house, I don't know about that one. I mean, that's up to you and your relationship with that tenant.
Gotcha.
All right. See that? You got any questions? And do you just leave a lock on it? Nothing too fancy? David?
I'm sorry?
You just put like a couple locks on it or one lock? It's been pretty okay all this time?
Well, the interesting about that house is that it has 3 doors. So I locked up 2 doors.
Yeah.
So the one door, I say, okay, this door, you guys can keep your things in there. So tenants have their own storage room.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So they still have access to your other items?
Yes.
Okay. But it's been working out. They're trustworthy. I mean, some people are trustworthy.
Well, the good thing is that one of the tenants is moving out, and actually that's my next project, which I told my wife. She said that I'm crazy, that I'm gonna be doing this. It's a 1-bedroom apartment that they are moving out from, and I plan to renovate the whole place with things that I find in the garbage.
Oh, are you going to document it?
Yes.
Okay.
I plan to redo the whole place with just basically
Free
things that
stuff.
I can find. Free stuff. Of course, there's gonna be a few stuff.
There's tons. Like on Craigslist?
Yeah,
we give away free stuff.
Right.
We're like, can you take this couch? We do not feel like hauling it. It is fine. We just bought a new.
All right. There you go. Oh my God, having me 3 years old is not easy.
Ooh, and you got a baby too, or it's just this, just the one child?
Just one child.
Oh yeah, I got a 15-month-old.
Oh.
Ooh, she wants me to hold her every single second of the day. If I'm in this room, I need to hold her. No, I can't work.
Oh, boy.
No, I can't respond to messages.
Uh-huh. Well, with this guy, with this one right here, all she wants to do is play, play, play.
Yeah. So, Steve, do you have any questions?
I do. Hi, David. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Well, I'm glad to actually see you. I've been following you on the Facebook group, and I've been reading a lot of your posts, and I actually looked for some of your posts just to see what it is you have to say, because I feel like your information has been so helpful, especially starting out. So I'm just starting with all of this, and I'm just getting the knowledge and learning as much as I can right now. And I'm hoping to make my first purchase sometime next year, maybe in the spring. So my question is, what advice do you have for a new investor that's looking to purchase a sub-30K property using other people's money? I know you talked a little bit about using other people's money. So for instance, if you were starting out at sub-30K, and really I've been trying to save some money of my own, but to kind of get a sense of how would I get started in that.
Okay. All right.
That should make any sense? I don't know if you.
No,
it makes sense. There's just a couple of different ways you can come at it financially, finding the right house, finding the right market.
Right. I think it all depends on where you want to invest to. Basically find the area that you want to invest. Mm-hmm. Basically kind of pinpoint the location, and basically find out everything that you need to know about that place or that area right there. How much rent is going for. If you was to purchase this at 25K, how much can you rent the place for? How much are the taxes? I was factored in the taxes and the vacancy rate, because all this plays a big part when it comes down to ROI. Am I making sense?
Yes.
As far as how to get started, that's a broad question. I think that it based on Are you looking to buy with cash? Are you looking to buy with mortgage? Are you looking to buy a single family home, or are you looking to buy a duplex or a multi-family?
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm making Lisa's investing made easy monthly, I think it's
The
called.
monthly membership, yeah.
Yeah.
David's
And
a moderator in there as
yeah,
well.
and I know one of the videos you talked about looking into credit unions or banks that lend to individuals who want to purchase in that price range, I think. So that's, I guess, the direction I was thinking of heading, and doing. I mean, I would like to do a multifamily, and I guess I'm really not sure because I live in Jersey. And when I heard you talk about traveling 2 hours to Pennsylvania in the beginning every weekend, that kind of made me a little nervous because I'm not sure if that's something I can do. So that's why I'm feeling like, I mean, I'm willing to travel, but I don't know if I'm willing to do this or if I can do it every weekend.
I have some thoughts too when David's done on that.
how far are you from Camden, or is it Saylorville or Salisbury?
I'm in I'm about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, I guess.
Oh, hour and a half away. Okay.
Mhm.
Because I remember when I was looking into Camden, I actually looked at a few duplexes, and the last one that was about 8-9 years ago. They were asking $48,000 for a duplex.
I see. Okay, so
Oh, New Jersey, you gotta watch those taxes, man. But
Yeah.
yeah,
man, it'll be $7,000 a year on you for $50,000 house. You're like, what?
Right.
so even though the taxes are higher in Jersey, though, would you say that the rents in that area would make up for the higher taxes?
Camden, if I'm not mistaken, the average rent for a single family house is about $1,000. It's about $1,200 tops
Okay,
because of location.
I see.
And Camden is just one of the places that is all based on your comfort level. Are you okay investing in a C minus, a D plus area?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would have any problems with it. I guess I would really have to understand the the population and how to rent and all of those things because again I'm still learning. So but I don't have any I don't think I would have any problem investing in those areas.
I think that Camden right now, I would say that they're like maybe about 85% renters.
Oh, okay.
So it's definitely a renters market, but the turnaround might be a little bit too high based on your comfort level.
I see. Okay, that's good to know.
So everything is based on location and how far, how much that you're willing to do and go.
And I just want to add to David for that particular point. When people are starting out and I work with them versus what I necessarily see in the group, I spend a lot more time on what market is going to be best for what their vision is. So a big part of it is let's strategically and systematically look and see what you can drive to and compile a list of those markets. I have everybody gets an Excel sheet, and every Excel sheet looks different because when I work with someone in California, you're going to be out of state. Okay, so where and how far is where we're going to work from. If you're in the Northeast, you're going to have a little bit more option. So then we sort of compile a list of local areas and markets that they can drive to. And then if they have to fly because of what their location is, especially when you're on the West Coast, well, what are the easiest destinations for you to get to if you fly? So we sort of start from ease of travel and see which one of those hit the criteria. And then once we get that level ready, we then go to what do you want your investing to look like? 30K isn't 30K in Baltimore versus a Virginia, right? Small town versus big town. The rents are going to be higher and lower and fluctuate. But there's some people who want it to be a little bit more working class, a little bit more stable, and will take $150 to $200 less in cash flow than someone can get in maybe a Baltimore to get something more stable and maybe in a B- neighborhood, not a D+, right? And so the second part, after finding out either driving or flying, whichever is going to be in their comfort level, and how to do that with the most ease, we secondly go to, what do you want your investments to look like? And I work with some people who are like, I want it to be sort of nice. I want it to look working, you know, like on the upper end of working class, not the lower end. And so we go, you know, and so we adjust what we expect the return is and what that return on investment is going to be. Maybe it's going to be 15%, not 30%. You can get in a cash flower like Baltimore. However, maybe it has more upward appreciation and it has more stability. And honestly, your comfort level is better in that neighborhood, right? So I'm really big on taking your comfort level because we're not all the same.
Right.
Right? And then other people are like, I just want that money. I don't care where I can fly. And they're going to just be a lot more open. Then we will literally just take, what's the easiest place for you to get to that offers these high returns? Because you can go in neighborhoods that look a little messy, a little trash on the ground, a few rats, right? And not in a mean way, but like if you're in Baltimore, rats are like a thing. That's not like only in one part of town, or New York even too, right? Or Boston. It doesn't matter what part of town you're in. That's a thing. You know what I mean? And so if you have a higher tolerance level, they're just like, you know, I would definitely not live here or put my mom in it. But it really does return on investment. And you can, for this neighborhood, find decent people who want to stay long term. People aren't coming in and out. So that's the approach I would take, which is similar to what David would suggest. It's very structured on the location first. Because some people are like, oh, I found this place in North Carolina and they're in Georgia. And I'm like, why'd you choose North Carolina? There's things that are closer. And they sort of started looking at properties that were cheap first, not sort of looking at their total lifestyle. Well, I'm located here, might be moving here. And if you are, well, we need to sort of put that in our planning and look for something that goes in the direction you know you want to go in. Okay. So there's just levels, and I do coach people on that, and it can get pretty detailed per person, but I really want to stress it looks different for every single person, right? And I make sure, I always tell you, be comfortable. Don't follow the money. Follow your comfort level. Right. It's not about money if you're uncomfortable going to a neighborhood. It's not about money if you have horrible tenants. It's not about money if, like, you hate the experience, right? We want this to be fun and exciting. And like real estate investing can be, like when I work with people, it can be fun as long as we get really true to what you can do. And some people just can't take a plane to their flight. Like, FYI, I've had some properties I haven't seen in 3 years. Whatever, I don't care. I have a good team in place, right? And that was part of my calculation. But other people need to see it. And if that's you, and that means the price goes up, that's okay. I'd rather you do that and not hate what you've done. And then take money and realize you made sacrifices you don't want to make. Does that make sense? See that?
It makes a lot of sense.
Stay true to you. Yes. Stay true to you, not what everyone else.
Right.
And I work with people, I just sort of know because, you know, I have 4 years of experience working with people all over the country. I know that this is going to come up. So I like to tell you ahead of time, are you okay with this? And this is what it'll look like. This is how it'll structure your day. This is how you'll work with a full-time job until you retire working with it. I just try to insert it beforehand just because, you know, experience lends you that extra level of what's to come.
Yes, thank you so much. That makes a lot of sense to me because I think, you know, as I listen to other people's, you know, just what they're doing, you know, I think at the end of the day, I want to know that it resonates with me and it fits me and this is what I want to do.
It's not about everyone else. It really isn't. So get that out of your head because it could be, as one of my one client said, it could be drudgery if you do. And I don't know about you, David, but I'm pretty happy with my investments. Are you? So if
Lisa,
you do this
I
right,
love how you put it. It's not about the money.
It's
not about the money.
It is about the money, but it's not about the money. You
Correct.
can't chase it. You can't chase money above your own comfort level.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
But I will tell you, you will start to get more comfortable going lower. But, you know,
the money coming in,
you will get comfortable.
Yep.
You know, I never thought, you know, there's some streets I was like, is that a drug dealing house? And I know this sounds crazy, But in certain neighborhoods, you're sort of like, well, they're sort of quiet, not that bad. You're just considering stuff you would never, ever consider before you start working in these neighborhoods and understand, okay, this sort of goes on. It's still pretty nice. I don't want to advocate that. I don't like it. I'm just saying you do get more comfortable at things you never thought you would.
Right.
But, you know, get some experience first so it's not so traumatic, I would say. I just wanted to add that on top of what David was saying.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I just want to chime in this. Do not get emotionally attached to your properties.
Yeah.
Okay.
I learned that one.
Because my wife just bought her first property. Well, you know, I told I want her to go and view the house. Basically, you decide, you tell me if this house is good, and then we'll get it. So when she got it, she's, oh, let's do this, let's do that. So I say, you know what, this is your first house. Rule number 1 in REI, do not get emotionally attached to your property.
Gotta walk away.
You gotta walk away.
Happened to me. This just happened to me. I was just trying to buy a cabin for like a second home for me and my husband, real cheap. I found this really cute cabin in this state park that I like. It was like $120. Has a propane backup. It was just built 2 years ago by like some Amish construction workers. Amazing condition. Fully, all the furniture comes like just a good deal. And I got into it, and we took like 9 weeks because I'm self-employed. And so like, oh yeah, higher interest rates, okay. But then all of a sudden at the last week, and this is after 9 weeks of working this, they were like, for some, because they were shady. Don't use Angel Oak Mortgage down in Georgia. Shady. They jumped it to like 8.9% because they said, oh, since you're an investor, it's an investment property, so that adds an extra 1.5 points. And I'm like, no, it's a second home. It's a cabin in the woods. I would never do this as an investment. That'd be horrible. They're horrible people. So 9 weeks into this, all right? And not get emotionally attached. We wanted this damn cabin. It was a good deal. You know, at a normal interest rate, $550 a month. That's doable for something you can go to visit 3.5 hours away in a place you love, right? Doable. Jumped to 8% and my husband wanted it. I wanted it. We worked 9 weeks and we walked away, and it was like sad a little bit, but I'm so like empowering to walk away, even if you want something, and not just take whatever is out there just because. Right. I just want to say, like, even on the personal level, not just on investments, walk it away, even though we still like want the property. Me and my husband are still like, it was still the best choice. He can't shoot up our interest rate to like this and us take that and then be beholden to it when it just economically doesn't make sense. And you can't even resell it because it's not like houses are being sold in that region really quickly. So it's not even like you have an appreciation potential. So I am on you. Like, so in my real estate investments, I'm definitely not emotional, not like I was when I first started. But even in my personal life, being able to walk away can save you a lot of headache. And if you learn that one, I think it's a wonderful, powerful place to be. I feel very empowered. Just very, I can do this. Hope that helps, Steve. So I just wanted to show my own story about not being invested.
Yes, thank you.
If it's 9 weeks in. Even if I gave it like a $2,000 deposit. I was like, you know, keep the deposit if you want it. You know, I took it off the market they gave it back, which was nice, blessings. But, you know, be willing to walk away for maybe $500 if that's what your earnest money deposit is. If it's not a good deal, if you find out later it's horrible. I know we want money and sometimes our fists like this, but I've learned when we start to do this, sometimes you get more out of it.
Yeah.
So any other questions, guys? Susan, I had you unmuted, but you're unmuted as well. If there's any other questions for David, and we'll be doing this again. Any of you guys doing Bitcoin?
No, I should have done Bitcoin earlier, but I do silver and gold.
Me too.
Silver's at a great price right now.
What is?
Silver's at a great price. I mean, I probably have a couple 100 ounces of silver.
Oh, wow.
And you can pick them up from the U.S. Mint when they do we call them the 5-ounce hockey pucks. So I laughed when you had the Panda.
Yes.
And you can also go to a local pawn shop. Yes. Sometimes they have the Engleharts. As long as there's a serial number on there, it's legit.
Right.
And You can even sometimes, we got lucky with one of the houses that I bought at an auction. And in the garage on the house, the owner left behind all kinds of stuff. He left behind a coin collection. He left behind rings. So I found a nice half-carat diamond. That was an off kind.
It was worth more than the house, right?
Just about, actually. So it's kind of been like a running hilarity at this point. But you never know what you're going to find. Everybody jokes about finding the $100 bills in the walls when you start doing renovations, and you never know what you're going to get with an auction item. It's a lot of fun, though.
Oh. Well, in one of the houses that I bought, this is about 3 years ago, in the basement, we bought a house as is. Of course, it's cheap, but we got to do all the cleanups. In the basement, we found out that the husband has a collection of girly magazines.
Oh, like the 1970 Playboys? Because you can get money for those.
Yes, it's still in
Send them over here. I'll sell them.
Was it the Red House, David?
No.
For 1970s Playboys.
Oh, no, but see, those are tame. Those are tame compared to the other stuff that we found.
Oh.
Let me just give you a hint. We found pink marabou handcuffs.
That's fun.
So it's amazing. It's just amazing.
You never know what you're going to find. It's always like a treasure hunt.
Yes.
Right. I would say this about Bitcoin. We were talking about it earlier. I purchased my house in 2006 in a bubble, had a foreclosure which I'm now over, thank God, to call for it. But playing Bitcoin, and like you said, Susan, you may not have heard it. I remember Bitcoin when it was $75.
Wow.
When I first
too much to the bubble. It was $120. Oh, it's too much.
I started looking at it when it was like, I don't know, like $250, and I'm like, I don't get into something I don't know enough about.
Yeah. Well, I knew a little bit. I tried to mine it because you can mine it, but I was like, I couldn't make any money mining, so I just stopped. And David told us a story before he got on about he has a friend who has 3 computers running full time, and like he made 33 cents in one weekend. One day with it working.
One day.
Right? And it's like you burn more in power, they say, than you make an actual Bitcoin.
That's like, when you put
$1,000 in power bills or an extra $400 to make.
That's when you make sure you have stock in your local power company and solar panels on your house.
The way you think, Susan. But so I'm playing, so I'm like, let me get in on this because I feel that it is in some sort of bubble. I just don't know when it's gonna pop. So you guys tell me, this is my strategy. You buy $400 or $200 or $100 each week because you can just sort of buy. And the value of the buy, I think you only pay like $4 or $5 for like for the actual trade, which isn't a lot much at all. And I'm just going to sell off. So when that $100 becomes $200, I'll take half that money, let the other ride. So when that other week's money doubles in price, take half off. So I'm taking the profit. You know, and just let it keep rolling and rolling. I will say I bought like $400 worth of Bitcoin like last week, and it went from 12,000 to like 15,000. So, you know, like nice little increased percentage. So FYI out there, you can play the Bitcoin game off of Coinbase. You can play it modestly, and you can play it as if it is going to pop, but if knowing that, you can still ride the appreciation. I made about $900.
Nice.
So the nice part about that strategy is you're always getting your investment out.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you're almost like you're doing a burr with the money.
Yeah.
But instead of using a house, you're using the proceeds from it. We used to do this when I worked.
Money off the table as it rises, and maybe the other money you can take off the table when it's 200% profit. So every single week until like the crash comes, you only put you've been taking money out, because I think it's not going to crash for some time. It's going to be, I think, when the U.S. government, because they can do this, says, okay, if you're a bank and you're dealing with Coinbase, we can no longer accept you can no longer be part of like the federal regulatory system if you accept money through Coinbase, because the U.S. government can do something silly like that. But until that time, there's money to be made, but just put a little bit. Don't go all in because we don't know when this bubble's going to pop. What do you guys think?
You may find that because there's other forms of cryptocurrency like Litecoin, Fedora Coin, and all kinds of other stuff. So, yeah. And those are not they don't have as big of a barrier to get into.
True.
So you can possibly see the same type of appreciation in those lower versions, but Bitcoin has the most name pull power.
Right.
Because everybody seems, Bitcoin. I've seen it all over the place.
And this is my research on it, Susan. That name pull power is a big thing because it helped tipped it over from this thing that the techie people were doing to mainstream. That's a big deal. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of money. However, technologically, it's not the best. It takes too long to do transactions. It takes too long to mine. Right. Too long. There's not enough. There's only 21 million. They mined 17. So it's done its job for making cryptocurrency like a thing. So you can start thinking, well, I'd love to do this without the bank overlooking it, right? And not that you have to do anything illegal. Sometimes you just want to do things and not get a suspicious activity report done on you, right? And you well, anytime you do anything over $5,000, you get a SAR, right? Or for it to take 5 days, or for it to do this and that. So I'll give Bitcoin what it did, which is make it mainstream, and that's what you did. But I'm with you. I did invest in some Litecoin, and I'm also going to go one step forward to like IOTA, which is like a real techie thing.
Right.
Because it's at like $4 a share, and the technology is actually better, but Bitcoin made this legitimate, so you can start looking at the others, which are more affordable. That's my take. What do you guys think?
Do you have multiple the coin wallets? Okay, because I really don't know much about Bitcoins except from my friend who was telling me that he's buying computers dedicated just for mining and stuff like that.
Coinbase is the easiest, but it takes 3 to 5 days to get the coin. But you do get it at the rate that you paid that day, not what the rate is 5 days later, which makes a difference because I've seen an increase in $4,000 in 2 days, right? So that does matter. But I'm just playing it just to open myself up to receive. I mean, because there is some money. I just say be cognizant that it is a bubble, and I think act accordingly. But I'm putting it out there because, like, hey, everybody, play a little bit. Put 400 in. That's it.
My dad.
That's all you do, and let it ride. Right? I'm gonna put a little bit in each week, but because it's a fun game right now until it crashes. But as long as you know it's gonna crash and you act accordingly, I don't see a problem with playing this game.
My dad used to give us this advice when he was still alive. He would tell us, when you get into investing, when the everyday person that you meet on the street, you know, the waitresses, the toll booth people, when they all are invested in it and know about it, that's the time to get out.
Correct.
Yes, I think
like that's just when the bubble starts to burst, because it's like, okay, now we're oversaturated, and everybody and their mother knows about it now. So now it's time to pull the money out before I start to lose. Like when I have stocks and they seem to be kind of popular and on huge rise, I set a stop limit on them because I don't want to lose any more than what I've gained on it. So say I bought, we'll use Alibaba as an example because I actually did this with that.
Okay.
And I bought it when they first came out. They tanked a little bit, but then they climbed back up. Then everybody started kind of getting into the game with it. And then you started to see some drop-offs on it. I set my stop limit high enough that I made enough profit. It didn't matter if it tanked even more.
Right.
I was like, cool. So they had this sell-off and the stock tanked. So I still made my profit with it. Right. But then if I stuck with it, I would have made even more. But these are the lessons that you learn from being in the game and participating. Sometimes the greatest lessons that you learn from are where you lose or make money.
Exactly.
Life is the best teacher.
Yes.
I would say a caveat on that, if you can. I'd say it's time to get out, like your dad said, is probably good advice if you held long, but it's also okay to day trade.
Sure.
Right? Quicker transactions. Does that make sense? So you get in, you get out, but you ride that wave of the the taxi driver, the waitress,
right?
Everybody in on it. You can ride those little blips up and down and be quite profitable. That's all.
Absolutely.
I think
as long as that's your comfort level. So like Stevette was saying earlier about what she's not sure, what she's comfortable. I have this philosophy, what I do, whatever makes me sleep at night. So
Yes.
if I'm investing in an area where I'm like, ooh, I don't really know about this, and I can't, and I'm losing sleep over it, I will not go into an area like that.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
if you want
that
to
is
sleep,
what I advise.
Susan,
I advise to definitely do it to comfort level. What's that?
don't play with Forex.
Yeah, you can get it, can't you?
Oh my God, I did it.
I did it because of that reason. I was like, this is too fun. But what about this? No one's looking here. And then all of a sudden you're like, where's my money? Oh.
No, it's fun, but you need to have a well, this is back then before the iPad. Well, this is the iPad 1. I remember that I have my desktop going, my 2 laptops going, and my iPad going at the same time. And I used to carry my laptop to the bathroom, to the kitchen, because the trading is so fast.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, you know, now I want to buy pound against yuan. And all of a sudden you say, oh, I want to buy yuan against this. And it's really, really fast. And it's just one of those things that if you don't have the stomach for it, it's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And with that, I will end today's conversation with David. David, thank you so much. I'm going to post this. I just wanted to do it because I really wanted to talk to you too, outside of just Facebook messaging, which we do a lot of. But like, I really just want the audience to see you, what you stand for, what you're passionate about, which is financial freedom, which is stability, Robert Kiyosaki, mindset, helping people change their mindset, and your calling to impact youth through ministry or even in your own personal life. I want people to sort of know this is David. So thank you so much. Stevette and Susan, thank you for hopping on. And we will be posting the replay out there for everyone to get to know you just as well as I did. And thank you so much from all of us for, you know, your help and support in continuing the message that people can take control of their destiny in a way that just makes practical sense.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.